Hey y'all. Okay, so I want to tell you a little bit of my story so that you get an idea of where I'm coming from and what I hope to accomplish or how I understand, motivation, encouragement, and accountability to be. Um, I want to introduce to this group somebody by the name of Lamont Rush. I know him as Rush. Uh, he goes by Monty. When I first met him, I called him Green Mile because I didn't know what his name was. But he was a very large black man with a very deep voice, and he reminded me of Michael Clark Duncan every time he talked. So I just nicknamed him Green Mile because that's how I work. Um, I was 25 years old, fresh out of basic training. I went to Port Hueneme, California to train with Navy Seabees. It was a joint school with the Navy on a Navy base to learn Air Force vehicle maintenance. So I was an Air Force girl hanging out in a Navy world, didn't know anything. I learned a lot from that school. And when I got there, I was only there by the grace of my basic training drill instructors. When I went to basic training, I left home. My recruiter set me up to fail, quite frankly. I didn't know that the military, by the way, the military, if you can do fitness, it doesn't matter how much you know up here, okay? All they care about is how many push ups, sit ups, if you're in the Navy, pull ups you can do, and how fast you can run. Word to the wise, if anybody has any kids or knows any relatives or anything joining any branch of the military service, just make sure they can do push ups and sit ups and they'll be fine. They won't get picked on as much at basic training. Life will be easy. It's the best piece of advice somebody could have given me and did not. So when I went to basic training, I struggled. And by week 2, I was in the hospital. I went to medical in the morning because I could not get out of my bed. My abdominal muscles were shredded. They had back then you could smoke people, right? Do a lot of push-ups and sit-ups consecutively. And I had like torn my abdominal muscles and they did not function. Now, mind you, this was before I had any kids. I didn't really have an excuse not to be in some sort of shape by the time I got to basic training, except I really didn't know. Nobody had required me to run at all in my life. I am the least athletic person that I know. So when I got to basic training, I sucked. The only reason I got out on time was honestly because my drill instructors lied when they entered my PT test scores into the computer on our final PT test day. They lied and they gave me all the minimum numbers just to get me out of there. I think they hated me. Anywho, or they knew that I was National Guard and I was going to a long tech school and I was going to have to get in shape. So I get to this tech school, is what's called Air Force Wise, at Port Hueneme, broken. Can't pass PT test. There, they only did a PT test at the beginning of every month. I got there the end of July. It was a 4-month school, so mid-July. No, I got there the end of July. So they did a PT test the first Friday of August, and I failed it because I couldn't run, and I still couldn't do sit-ups because my abdominal muscles still were not just was not working, and it was very upsetting to me. And because I didn't pass the PT test, I didn't earn some privileges. Um, so I made a decision right then and there that I was going to be a gym rat. And we had PT as an organization, as a group. We had PT 3 times a week, but on those days and then every other day, I went to the gym on base. So I went to the gym on base, and that is where I met Rush. And he worked there, and he just saw me coming in consistently. And then he started out by giving me a couple pointers, and then he got to the point that we had conversations, and he found out why I was in there consistently all the time, and he took a little special interest, and out of the goodness of his heart or the torture for myself and his enjoyment, I got in shape. And it took the full 3 months for me to do it, right? So I failed August. I still couldn't pass the run in September. I failed in October, still didn't make that run time. I had to run a 1.5 miles in under 13 minutes and 45 seconds. Mind you, This again was all 14 years ago, and see how I have no problem remembering these details. It was a big focus of my life, you guys. So I couldn't pass this run, couldn't do this stuff. I was angry, I was defeated, I was losing weight, but I just was not physically like performing, right? So I was in there, I was frustrated. And by the end of October, so October and November, is when Rush really stepped in and was like, all right, we're going to get you past this test. I graduated mid November, so I was only there. I did pass the test. There is a happy ending to this story. I did pass the test, the last PT test that we did, and I was able to go off base. So I went to the gym and I worked out, and I gave everything I had to it. And I had, I was Air Force, I was female. I wasn't going to let these Navy guys start talking shit to me because I was Air Force and they were Navy. And I definitely wasn't going to slow down because I was a female. So I had a little bit of a competitive spirit there, but a lot of it just, like I really wanted to go off base without being in a uniform. And that's where I was at, y'all. If I wanted to go off base, I was supposed to be in my dress blues uniform. It's a horrible uniform. Maybe it looks good on men. It sure does not on women. And I was in Port Hueneme, California, which is right up the road from Malibu Beach. And I didn't want to be in a military uniform. So I would, my friends would sneak me off base and I'd have a change of clothes and I'd change. And I broke rules and I took chances. But then I would come back on base and I'd have to get back into uniform before I came back on base. The whole time I was in California, it was a real drag. Oh, and I had like my curfew on the weekend. I was supposed to be back by like midnight or something, like there was a curfew because I couldn't level up, and that was in privileges because I couldn't do this thing that the military required me to do. So I had to be back on weekends, Saturday and Sunday. I was required to be back at 10 o'clock at night. So I didn't go out on the weekends. I didn't go anywhere. I was 25. It would have been nice to go out when I was in Cali, right? Have a couple drinks. Didn't do it. I just worked out a lot. And so my last PT test, it's November at this point. I left like November 16th or something that year. So my last PT test, and Rush is in the background. He's like, when's your PT test? What time does it start? And I gave him all the information. I was like, what is he going to do? And he was active duty Navy. He wasn't supposed to hang out with the school kids, right? The school kids. So he's an active duty Navy guy. So I told him like when the PT test, like when they ran it and stuff like that. And this was back when I wore glasses. Some of you don't know, I used to wear glasses. I had LASIK surgery in 2007 to correct my vision, which is now failing me, by the way. So you'll see me in glasses probably again soon. But anyway, I wore glasses, but I can't run with stuff on me, watches, glasses, phones. I don't like any of that. So I couldn't see shit. I was just running, right? And the space that we were running, it was like 3 laps around the grinder. Each lap was a half a mile, and I had to run a mile and a half. And every time, and there's a parking lot over, I'm like talking with my hands, but you can't see anyway. So there's a parking lot, and I had given Rush this information. I didn't know what he was going to do with it. And I'm running, right? Like, and I have anxiety. It's probably my biggest holdup. I just had anxiety because I'm like, I'm not a good runner. I can't do this. So I'm doing this PT test. I've passed the sit-ups, the push-ups. I've gotten 50 in a minute, no problem. I'm in the clear. I maxed them out, right? I have a 27-inch waistline at this point, 0 issue. Those are the 3 components I've been graded on. I'm acing it. I'm done. The run is the last thing I need to do. I have one of my Air Force friends that's helping me out, and I'm running and I'm blind, and out of the back corner of this parking lot, I never saw him, but out of the back corner of this parking lot, I sure heard this giant voice boom telling me to pick up my knees. And you guys, I about fainted, but I just knew. I couldn't see him. I just heard him, and I couldn't, and like having that motivator in the background yelling at me. And I'm sure, like my instructors were like, what the hell, and other people. I don't know where he was to this day. But I heard him telling me to pick up and it wasn't like the little voice in my head. It was like an actual audible, like he was really there and parked and like came to support me to do this PT test. And I passed. I had to run a mile and a half is under 13 minutes and 45 seconds. And I think I got it in like 13 minutes and 20 seconds or something. So not by much, but I got it. That's all that mattered. And I went out that next weekend with another one of my military friends and partied. Anyway, different story. So I wanted to introduce Resh. I lost contact with him for like 10 years, and then power of Facebook, he's popped back up, and he has threatened to come out here to Washington and visit me. I don't know if that will ever happen. He's threatened it. We'll see. COVID and all. But anyway, great individual, and hopefully he'll agree to just throw in some motivation because he's good at it, y'all. He's good at, like just giving motivational words and inspiration. And I think every time I run, I kid you not, to this day, every time I run, I still hear this man's voice in the back of my head, pick up your knees. And like, I can't do that voice at all. It's horrible. I can't. You have to picture Michael Clark Duncan, if you know who that is, Green Mile, right? Like saying it, like maybe. But anywho, that's where I started from, and that's what I remember. So when things get hard, I honestly hear this man's voice in my head. I remember those days of struggling. I remember some of the workout moves and things that I was taught way back when, and I still do that. I still repeat those things. So it's impactful. It's left an impression on me, and I just wanted to share because sometimes you learn some things and then they just stick with you. So whatever motivates you, whatever your goals are, whatever you want to do are absolutely achievable. Having the right motivation and accountability absolutely helps. And I want us all just to be able to know that we can achieve what we set out to do, and everything is possible, and there are great people. I'm asking you to be here with me because I'm selfish and I need help, but hopefully you all get something from it too, depending on your goals and what you want to achieve. So my Fit by 40, I want to be able to bring 100% on my PT test. I want to be able to get 50 sit-ups in a minute, 50 push-ups in a minute, and be able to run. I have to look at the chart on what my age category says that would be, honestly. But I think I have to run in like a 12 something, right? I'm not a runner. So we're going to see. For me, I am going to push myself, but we're going to see what I can do. But thanks for being here.